Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to be sort of talking about my portfolio that I used when I applied to Architectural Association, the AADRL Master's Program, and also the Bartlett School of Architecture, their Master's Program, their MArch. And I ended up going to the Architectural Association, as you can clearly see in my description, on my profile on Issue, which yeah, it's pretty prominent there. Anyway, so I'll be looking at this portfolio, which says 2018. However, all the works are prior to 2018. 2018 was obviously when I submitted this portfolio to attend school at AA in later 2018. So I think everything prior to this, everything is like on a range from like 2015 to 2017. Sort of all these projects. Anyways, right off the bat, I'll be trying to critique this portfolio, the lessons that sort of I've learned from looking back on it from now, and also like give you a hint at what can you find. Obviously, these projects are incredibly outdated. I don't think a single one of these projects none of these projects are in my current portfolio. But it's always good, to sort of reflect back on how you got someplace and what you've done and how you, of course, can go change and move on. Anyways, looking at this cover photo, it's always a debate whether to use a cover photo or not and what to put on there. It's always a challenge. And obviously, I was applying to these sort of more computational focused schools, so I really wanted to demonstrate, my my use of like organic modeling and whatnot. Clearly, that was, I don't know where the inspiration for this piece came from, but I mean, it's terrible. It's really terrible. I mean, it's super low poly to begin with, and yeah, it's just not a good image. It's a miracle I got accepted. Okay, moving on. Of course, I started with a CV. I think that's super important to have. And then, so CV on left page, right page. I was just sort of had the list of projects that were going to be shown. So in this, one thing I do really like, and I know some people don't like this, so it's a little bit of a hot topic, but including a picture of yourself. I think it's always nice sort of to put a face to like the ideas and design. It's always great to sort of like show who you are, and I think that's part of it. That's also why on YouTube I try to have these little include my face in the shot. I think it sort of creates like a personality and people actually relate to that. Anyway, so I just basically broke it down. Like, I mean, super simple stuff. I had my Bachelor of Architecture. I worked at Danish Architecten. Actually, I was currently working there when I made this portfolio. And spent some time with Gensler. Then I had a few other like sort of not odd jobs, but additional stuff that's definitely not on my CV anymore. Obviously, skills. I really like the rating system that people use on skills, so obviously I did that. Some of these are pretty funny. Sustainable design, specialty interests, sustainable design, computational design. Yeah, maybe I'm getting into the computational design now. I can't say 2017 Andrew was getting into computational design. Yeah, ultimately creating beautiful space. Poetic. Here, I already know that this portfolio is redacted. It does not include my professional work, which was included on the one I did get, the portfolio I sent in, which was like a physical copy. So that actually had some professional work prior, which I did not post online because I wasn't certain if it was allowed or not because the projects are ongoing. However, now they're being built, so maybe I can actually go back and show the professional work later. So this is my most recent project when I started winter 2017. It was a competition I did with my friend Sergio. And it was for like renovating this existing government building in the central Barcelona. And we were turning it into social housing. It was a proposal, basically where we were taking, we took this whole government building, stripped out the interior, and basically inserted, which you can see very clearly in the section. We inserted sort of this like oblique set series of housing units that took advantage, but left a gap between like the existing facade and their facade to create sort of these these very unique spaces in between. And then on the ground floor, it was a public marketplace that allowed people to move through the street, and all of a sudden this like imposing government building was now this very open housing and market. That was like the whole idea we had behind this project. On the left, you can see we had like a really nice isometric. I really like this project. So it's like playful, colorful, really like sort of exemplified, what I like to do as an architect. Although if you look at my more recent stuff, it's a little less playful, a little less colorful, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, this was sort of like looking at the feasibility of what we were talking about. So talking about taking, this existing concrete slab infrastructure and then essentially chiseling out and just breaking off pieces of it, like non-essential structural pieces, to allow to reconstruct a new facade on the interior, to allow for that, housing within the old building. And then this is looking at the marketplace below. And also, wait, by the way, this image, it was published like 1 or 2 places, and actually I have a YouTube tutorial documenting sort of how I went through that, so you can check that out on my channel. So this is looking at the ground plane, which was a marketplace, which we sort of had this idea to create. Like, it's a marketplace sometimes, and then during the nighttime it can seal up and become, like a defensible space, so you protect your vendors' wares and whatnot. And so actually, I think this space turned out really successful in how people will use it. And I think in Barcelona, this would fit in perfectly with, sort of the vibe that is Barcelona in itself, especially in the Gothic quarter where this was located. Yeah, we're just looking at some more floor plans, This is like residential floor plans on the level 8 and level 2, and it's sort of showing how the units are, tilting and being offset and arrayed within that other space. And here's sort of the relationship between the units and the facade. Just some more other random diagrams. Oh boy, oh man, I haven't seen this project in a long time. This is going to be difficult for me to explain. This is my bachelor thesis project, Terraform. I don't know how I passed, honestly, with this project. It is a miracle I passed. Basically, this was looking at Manhattan, the Isle of, I think it was right here. Oh yeah, pre-Western colonization, Manhattan. So the Isle of Manhattan, which is what the Native Americans used to call Manhattan. I was basically looking at how it went from what I was calling a symbiotic ecosystem to a singular human ecosystem. So throughout time, it sort of evolved. The way the ecosystem functions has evolved from this green ecosystem to this gray ecosystem, which was my argument. And how I could sort of facilitate reversing that, bringing it back to like a symbiotic green and gray, so natural and man-made, natural and synthetic organization and relationships. And to use this, I was using, this is actually how low computation I was back then. I obviously had some sort of knowledge of like the power of computation and what that can inform us in terms of like architecture and urbanism. But actually, instead of using a slime mold simulator, which you can find YouTube tutorials on everywhere, I actually used slime mold to conduct the survey. I printed out, acrylic sheets of map of Manhattan, put food on it, which was like grains. What did I say? Oat flakes. So I put oat flakes on it, and then actually started growing Phycerium on it, which was a mess to clean up, but it was quite fun, and it sort of led me to create this sort of new map of Manhattan where the green spaces, which are illustrated here with yellow for some reason, are connected through the street network. So essentially, here you can see where it started out as these sort of like isolated green parks and whatnot, and this new infrastructure would sort of envelop sort of parasitic growing over the old infrastructure and try to like give it a new level. You can see already how theoretical this is, right? Like this is straight up, this is Broadway, right? I think, yeah, Broadway Avenue. There we go. Broadway Avenue with deer, fish, deer, hiking trails, like beautiful. I don't know how feasible it is. Like I'm just an architect. I don't know that sort of thing. But yeah. I mean, this would be amazing. We'll see. We'll see if this one gets built. Yeah, just some more kind of terrible illustrations about what the space, what facades would look like, what roofscapes would look like in Manhattan. Really artsy, but not really nice. Not really showing anything. Like straight up, this page doesn't really show me anything. Anyways, lesson learned. I remember really liking this image, and actually I still like it. You can kind of see how like whimsical this whole project was. I have like bird feeders, water wheels, urban farming, sort of like water catchment systems, staircases, like stair ribs, of like what a new skyscraper in New York could look like while conforming to this new like ecosystem. So I thought that was it's a fun project. It was stressful when I was doing it, but it was a fun project. Anyways, over here, we have another competition that I did with Sergio. This is just I think it's called flash competition. It's called a flash competition. I think it was like 24 hours or 36 hours or something. Where basically we just had to, we're looking at, monuments, like architectural propaganda. Super simply dumbed it down to monuments are propaganda in architecture, symbolism of wealth and whatnot. So what can we do to sort of democratize that, which is like the most classic architectural question and most classic architectural provocation. Anyways, we just built a huge concrete structure, I believe, and then allowed people to occupy it with whatever they want. The idea was, of course, it wouldn't be like wealthy housing and whatnot. It would be not. In reality, this would be wealthy housing. So I don't really know where we're going with that, but I think I threw this in the portfolio because it was very theoretical, and could provoke conversation, and that's basically what I'm just trying to do. Anyways, here is another project. This is at the University of Oregon. This is done with my friend Kimmy. We worked. This is for the Oregon College of Arts and Crafts, which is a small art school in the hills, and we were proposing in like a new space, which included a library, a cafe, and a gallery, and we set it into the hills, where sort of it was very embedded within the terrain to reduce sort of like its impact on the forested environment around it. It was quite a really nice project, really simple. It was inspired by like the likes of Sanaa, mostly Sanaa, I think. Very slim profile, open. Yeah, so I mean, this is simply like plans, super simple plans. Then over here we have some sections demonstrating each of the three spaces. You can see some grasshopper work over here. Let's see. Oh, yep, there it is. This is like Andrew's foray into grasshopper. In this library space, kind of cliche. But I remember really liking this, making this image. This was a really fun one to make. I think this one turned out really successful, which is why I included it in this sort of portfolio. This is another project from University of Oregon back in spring 2015. I don't even know if I knew how to use a computer during this time. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this render here was a screenshot from Rhino render. I didn't even know how to use V-Ray. I didn't know how to use anything. This is like straight Rhino render, screenshot, extreme Photoshop. That's it. A little too much Photoshop. I get that, but anyways, this is sort of like looking at Cliff House is this prominent monument on the coast of San Francisco that has sort of like really interesting past. It's been built and rebuilt many times, from burning down, shipwrecks, whatever. And so we were proposed to, it burned down again. What do you put there? And you can already see my inspiration right here. I borrowed from the A-frame structural shelter design and created 2 separate galleries and restaurant spaces connected by a meandering cultural pathway that follows existing coastal procession. There it is. I looked at this image of native structures and I essentially copied it. Not really proud of this one. Don't really know why it fits in this portfolio, but I did include it. I do remember liking this image, this isometric. I thought it explains the project quite well, and it turned out quite nice. Yeah, anyways, that's the end of my portfolio. It wasn't very long. There's some pages that are redacted, but I think it's interesting to look back at, where you've been, how you got there, how you can improve, sort of critique yourself. Definitely this first project was good. I put that first because it was by far the best project. This project turned out really cool. As far as the annotation and style, I think the layout is okay. Everything's like a little bit jammed in there. The comic style annotations, I wouldn't recommend. First off, a lot of work. Like, if you start adding the amount of text you have to write to fill up those annotations and explain every single image, all of a sudden you have a huge essay, maybe 10 pages long. So I would not recommend comic annotations. And I mean, I didn't even read it. I just looked at that entire portfolio and I read like 2 annotations. So you can already see where and I've spent way more time than you would spend looking at this portfolio. So I would not recommend comic annotations. I think just imagery is good. The reason I did comic annotations, to give myself a bit of defense, was that it borders between just images, right? So you can have sort of a picture book where it's just images, and then a lot of ideas are lost, I think, in that. And then you can have, of course, a book, a novel, whatever, where it's just text, and then you're never going to get that image representation. So I think architecture sort of sits somewhere in the middle, where it's necessary to have vocabulary, but also overlaid on imagery. So that's where I got to comic book. I don't know how. I don't think it was very successful, and in my most recent portfolios, I've basically gotten rid of all that comic annotation. I'll make another tutorial, sort of, or not tutorial, video showing my more recent portfolios, and I think that'll be quite interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll leave it on, like, what's a good slide? This one. Yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Please like and subscribe. I've been trying to pump out these videos. I'm working on another couple ones at the same time. But I thought this would be interesting and pretty quick to make, and be pretty valuable. So thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye.